Merritt read Mike Edson. The Bloody Ridge. 800 Marines. 3,000 attackers. One narrow ridge. If this hill falls, the Pacific War ends tonight. Discover how Red Mike held the line. Subscribe now to witness the impossible.
Edson positioned machine guns and directed the defensive fire. He never took cover throughout the entire long night. A correspondent called him the finest of all commanders. At 4 a.m, the final crisis arrived. Kawaguchi committed his last reserves for one more push. Officers led the charge with their ancient samurai swords. The attack hit the perimeter from 3 different directions. The Marines met them with every weapon they had. The barrels of the machine guns glowed cherry red. The ridge was a slaughterhouse of kunai grass and mud. As dawn broke, the Japanese tide finally began to recede. The slopes were covered in over 600 bodies. Kawaguchi's brigade was shattered beyond any hope of repair. The Japanese general looked at the ridge in total disbelief. He had been defeated by a handful of stubborn men. The Tokyo Express had failed to deliver a victory. The Marines had held the gateway to the Pacific. Edson's raiders and Paramarines had saved the entire division. Henderson Field remained in American hands for the duration. The cost of the victory was written in blood. 135 Marines were killed or severely wounded. But they had broken the back of the offensive. Merritt Edson and Kenneth Bailey earned the Medal of Honor. The ridge was renamed Edson's Ridge by the survivors. It remains a monument to the power of leadership. The Japanese never again came so close to winning. The battle proved that courage could overcome any odds. Those 800 men changed the course of history. They fought for a ridge and saved an ocean. Their story is written in the silence of Guadalcanal. The jungle has reclaimed the foxholes and the grass. But the legend of Red Mike Edson lives forever. History is made by those who refuse to move. Edson climbed a grenade box to address his Marines. "Hold out just one more night," he told them. The sun set, and the jungle grew deathly silent. The second night began with a surge of terror. 3 full battalions charged out of the dark jungle. Rocket flares arced across the sky in flickering red. The noise was a symphony of mortars and screams. Japanese soldiers swarmed over foxholes with fixed bayonets. Company B of the raiders took the full weight. Hand-to-hand combat erupted with swords and rifle butts. The Marine line began to buckle under the pressure. Paramarines on the left were pushed back into chaos. The Japanese were breaking through to the vital airfield. This was the moment the entire battle nearly ended. But Edson was there, silhouetted against the bright explosions. He walked calmly through fire that sent others diving. He did not duck, he did not show fear. His presence steadied men who were ready to break. Major Kenneth Bailey formed a new line on Hill 123. Bailey led counterattacks despite a severe, bleeding head wound. The Marines reformed a perimeter only 200 yards wide. They were surrounded on 3 sides by a screaming enemy. Marines could hear Japanese officers shouting their final orders. Robert Youngdeer was hit in the face and survived. Walter Barak killed an attacker with a small shovel. Individual acts of courage saved the ridge that night. Edson stayed on the radio, calling in the artillery. "Drop it 50 and walk it back," he commanded. The 105mm howitzers responded with a thunderous, rolling fire. They fired nearly 2,000 rounds into the darkness. Explosions tore through the Japanese waves at short range. Each flare became a reference for the American gunners. The Japanese kept coming, climbing over their own dead. They screamed for the Emperor and died by hundreds. Marines fought back with knives, fists, and heavy rocks. The fighting in the foxholes was medieval and brutal, but Kawaguchi was a different breed of Japanese commander. He was stubborn, independent, and a highly capable career officer. Kawaguchi landed 5,000 troops at Taivu Point nearby. He even brought a white dress uniform for the surrender. Edson watched the buildup with a deep, growing concern. He identified a narrow ridge running south from the field. If they attacked from the south, they would come there. Edson moved his raiders and paramarines to that high ground. These 800 men were exhausted, sick, and alone. But Edson wanted to strike first and find the truth. He launched a daring raid on the base at Tasimboko. His men found thousands of life preservers on the beach. They found artillery pieces and a powerful shortwave radio. The captured documents revealed a massive force moving inland. Kawaguchi was cutting through the jungle toward the ridge. Edson briefed General Vandergrift on the looming, deadly threat. "This is no motley group," Edson warned his commander. Artillery from the 11th Marines moved into support positions. The stage was set for a collision of pure iron. The Japanese were coming with odds of 4-1. Warfare is a contest of wills, not just numbers. On September 12, Edson walked the ridge with his officers. He established a command post on the highest point. He could see the airfield right behind his position. The Marines dug in, holding only 2 grenades each. At dusk, the first Japanese artillery shells began to scream. The Banzai charge rose like a wave of sound. Marines fired into muzzle flashes as the line buckled. Men died in foxholes they would never truly leave. Edson walked upright while others hugged the wet ground. "The only thing they have is guts," he shouted. He stabilized the line as the first night ended. Kawaguchi was disappointed but still confident in his spirit. He planned a final, coordinated assault for the next night. Darkness swallowed the jungle on a humid September night. Private Walter Barak pressed his face into the mud. 3,000 Japanese soldiers were coming to kill them. The air hung thick with rotting vegetation and blood. Barak was only 20, a Marine for 11 months. He stood between an empire and a vital airfield. If the ridge fell, the entire Pacific offensive collapsed. Behind him stood a small man with carrot-colored hair. They called him Red Mike, a veteran of Nicaragua. Lieutenant Colonel Merritt. Edson was a core of steel. Edson understood that willpower wins more than raw firepower. He had 800 men to face 3,000. The math of survival was grim and completely unforgiving. Major General Kawaguchi brought the 35th Infantry Brigade instead. The Japanese